Don't forget, we were born, and then all our instincts said, go and eat, go and eat. So we killed a cow, and we ate the cow's meat, went, oh man, this is great. And then someone did a bicep curl and thought, oh my gosh, I've discovered it. Simon the Bald A-Hole and Gerald the Fitness Mascot here, ready to bring you some more facts. Hopefully, sometimes people think I just make them up, but I do my best about the world of fitness and going to the gym. Now, in the past, we talked about whey protein, we talked about creatine. I think we did pre-workout, and a lot of people recently said, Simon, can you tell us the good bits and the bad bits when it comes to BCAAs, amino acids, EAAs? So we're going to get into it, and we're going to get into it right now. And we're going to break it down like D-Generation X. Break it down! By telling you 4 things why it's awesome for the gym, and 4 things why it absolutely sucks. Things didn't make sense. I meant the word reasons. Quick note as well before we do start, if you could subscribe to the channel, that would absolutely rock. But let's do a little bit of education. Because while I'm sure most people know, if you are brand new to the gym, BCAA just stands for branched chain amino acid, and EAA stands for essential amino acid. Now your first question is going to be, but Simon, what's the difference between the two? So to try and keep it nice and simple, as we know, protein is around, well, to do lots of things, but also to help build and maintain muscle. And protein is basically made up of around about 20 amino acids. Within that, though, you do have 9 EAAs, again, essential amino acids, that you have to obtain from your diet, because of course the name is essential amino acids, and they're essential because your body ain't gonna make it on its own. So yes, in terms of a quick catch up, in order to build and maintain and do all these amazing things with muscles, you have to be getting these EAAs from somewhere. It also means for all the other amino acids, and we're not gonna get into the names here because look at them, they're absolutely crazy and you can see them on the screen, but with those you can essentially synthesize them as needed. So once again, just as a catch up, you have a bunch of EAAs, you need to get those, you have a bunch of BCAAs, and it's probably gonna help if you do get those, but ultimately they're not 100% required, but they may help. So if you're now thinking to yourself, well, they sound like exactly the same thing, they basically are exactly the same thing, they just play a slightly different role in your body, and they play slightly different roles when it comes to getting big and getting jacked and getting ripped and all of those kind of things. However, now let's get into the good and bad. Because number 4 on the good side is that when you do buy a BCAA supplement, within that it's going to have a branched chain, the clue is in the name, that is going to help your body convert them into the necessary energy or the necessary synthesis that you need to do. And while you can't get these without food or supplements, right there is the key. You can get them from food, or you can get them from supplements, but we'll talk about all that in a second. And that's kind of why they became so popular in the first place. Now, there are studies out there, but you can find a study to prove anything the hell you want, but some studies did say that it almost tricked your body into going, oh, I don't need to do any more muscle breakdown here because I can feel all these proteins, and therefore instead what I will do is I will try and jack them up. So yes, having accessibility to BCAAs and EAAs is important, and it is something that you should consider, but I would say more from an educational side, but again, let's just move on. Because in number 3 is that they can potentially help stop muscle breakdown, which is what we want, while also trigger protein synthesis, which is why, as we talked on this channel yesterday, some people will drink amino acids before they do quote-unquote fasted cardio. And while that means it's no longer actually fasted cardio, again, how much do you want to split this hair? I can't split any. Moving into number 2 is that BCAAs can actually be burned as energy, meaning your ATP levels will remain high, and that's what you want in the gym. It's how creatine helps too. The higher your ATP levels, or you want to try to keep the high as possible as you are working out, means you're not going to get fatigued as quick. And say you have a level 8, I'm making this up, in terms of the words, but say you had a level 8 ATP level and then it dropped down to 6. At 6, you're going to be able to do less reps than you can at 8. So ensuring that you've got all the ATP in the world is going to be essential. Bad use of words, but it's going to be essential for a good workout. And also at number 1 is that they can reduce muscle soreness, and the sooner you can get your muscles back to 100%, the sooner you can train them again. The more the training, the bigger, the stronger you are going to get. So as we have seen, BCAAs or EAAs or whatever you want to call them are pretty good if you are going to go to the gym. However, it's when you get to the flip side where the debate actually opens up, and therefore, consider number 4 for the bads is that if you do have a high protein diet, and one of the first things you should do when you start lifting weights and going to the gym and all of that is have a high protein diet, you're probably getting all your BCAAs and your EAAs from food. Again, everything you read will say you can get them from food and you can get them from supplements, but if you can get them from food, you should always get them from food, because 9 times out of your 10, your body will deal with things better when it comes from food. Don't forget, we were born, and then all our instincts said, go and eat, go and eat. So we killed a cow, and we ate the cow's meat, went, oh man, this is great, and then someone did a bicep curl and thought, oh my gosh, I've discovered it. Which is why number 3 on the bad list is that they cost a hell of a lot of money, and are designed that you go scoop after scoop after scoop after scoop after scoop, so therefore you have to pay more money, where really, you don't massively need it. It's why you can look at two dudes or two girls in the gym. One is taking BCAAs and EAAs and the other one isn't. And it isn't that massive of a difference, because if anything, the person supplementing with BCAAs is probably getting more than they actually need. Now, it's not bad for you, and there is a secret thing that is good for you that we'll talk about in 1 second, but it's not making a huge amount of difference because, again, they've got the levels that they need. It would be like if you're full of water and then I give you more water, you don't want any more water, even though if you don't drink water, eventually you're going to die. Which ties into number 2 on the bad list, which is that they don't actually help you get to where you want to go any faster. Because if you did, you'd start taking them, and within a few weeks, you go, oh my gosh, look at me now. And I can promise you that has never happened to anybody. The final bit, the bad one, is that in terms of dosing them, I mean, who even flipping knows? You can buy one product that tells you to take 1 scoop, another one takes you to take 2 scoops, and you look on the back and they've got the same amount of ingredients, but one thinks you should take 50% and one thinks you should take 100%. There's no rules, there's no science behind it, because again, they've kind of become, I can't even think of the right word, just an aesthetic supplement that people think they have to take when they go to the gym. We've talked about it before. Some people would just eat supplement after supplement after supplement, because if you're not, how does that differentiate you from anybody else? And how the hell are you going to get anywhere? And how the hell are you going to achieve your goals? With all that said, however, there are a couple of reasons that I would advocate for them. And the first is kind of a weird one. Most of them these days taste really good. So if you're on a diet and you want to try and come up with something that's not eating a massive chocolate cake, as good as chocolate cake is, you can have a nice drink that just happens to have a bunch of BCAAs and EAAs in there. It may satisfy you for a while and switch your brain off, so once again, you don't go around looking for the cheese and you don't go around looking for the Doritos. Put those two things together and you have a wonderful meal. But also, if you do have the financial backing to be able to go and buy some, why the hell not? It's always better to have more of this than it is to have less of this. And while I can't imagine there's that many people not getting them all in, maybe if you're on a vegan diet or something like that, because essentially some of the proteins you eat, or some of the protein supplements you take, I should say, they won't have a complete branch, again, to try and simplify it as much as possible. So if you are taking the BCAAs and EAAs, you know that you're completing that chain. And that's all you need to do. The chain just needs to be completed. It helps with muscle breakdown, it helps with muscle synthesis, but always remember, this is on a 1-2% level. It's not like you achieve this and all of a sudden you triple and quadruple your goals. No, it just puts you in a slightly better position and optimizes your body for muscle growth, but you still got to put the time in, you still got to put the worth in, you still got to put the effort in. They can also help you with performance as well, and most companies kind of sneak some energy stuff in there as well, so make sure you always look at what you're buying. But I would say go for it. Why the hell not? But just try and keep them subdued in your own brain. I think the issue is that people think there's some kind of magical miracle drug that's going to turn you into an absolute beast, and that's just not true. And again, if you're eating right, you're probably achieving this just fine. I tell you why I take them in, because they taste really good. Like I just said earlier, they taste good, and it's just good to know that I haven't made any mistakes here and I haven't made any mistakes there. I'm supplementing with them to top up my levels, even though ultimately there is no point at all. As one last point, I will say that I suppose if you are struggling to get your protein in because you're brand new to it or whatever, then yeah, it probably is worth it. But then I would say to you, it's more important that you figure out on how you're going to increase your protein. I'm going to do a video on that soon, ways that you can get more protein in without having to eat a bunch of food. I mean, you can just go get some liquid egg whites, right? Sometimes you can even drink them these days because of the modern technology, futuristic world we live in. But I'm certainly not against BCAAs or EAAs. I would say try and get one that has them all in. These days, you can just, it used to be sort of BCAAs versus EAAs. That's a rarity these days. Most companies, good companies anyway, will just have them all in these days. And yes, in the advertising, it'll be like, you're about to get bigger than ever. I'm just here to tell you that you're not. But they're not a bad thing. And also, if it makes you feel good and it gives you a little bit more confidence, like, oh, I know what I'm doing, then hell yeah, man, go for it. You live that dream. So there you go, amino acids, BCAAs, EAAs, whatever the hell you want to call them. 4 reasons they're good, 4 reasons they're bad. Ultimately, they're just a thing. Don't rely on them. Don't overthink them. Treat them nice and simple. And also, if you could hit the subscribe button, that would rock. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. I just said that. I've said it twice. Didn't mean to do it. Whoops-a-daisy. Notification bell is right there. Ding, ding. Then you know when other videos are going live. Another video right there if you want to continue on the Simon Miller Fitness journey. Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, merchandise, all in the description below. But more important than any of that, me and Gerald, the fitness mascot, appreciate you stopping by today, and we hope you stop by again tomorrow. All right, now, the channel is filled with videos. See you soon.